a diverse and vibrant community, rich with innovation, culture, and history. This half hour is dedicated to Durham Living Healthy. The program is focused on giving you helpful information to improve our community. Hi, I'm Jana, and this is Living Healthy, Durham County. Diabetes is a serious disease. It affects people all across Durham County. We live in the stroke and diabetes belt, but it doesn't have to be that way. Let's find out what Durham is doing to help those living with diabetes.
I'm a Durham native, and I come from a family where diabetes is very prevalent. My dad had 10 siblings. All of them were insulin-dependent diabetics, and most of them had had something amputated. So this diabetes project is really near and dear to my heart.
We've all seen the data on rising rates of diabetes, rising rates of hypertension, rising rates of cardiovascular disease. What is so encouraging to me about the Durham community is that our community has looked at that data and embraced it as a challenge and said, this can't go on. We can't keep having these rising trends. We have to find a way to create more health in our community.
There are really two things about this project that make it important. I mean, the primary one is that our people are dying prematurely and having disability due to diabetes and its complications. We need to do something about it.
Some tests to see how your diabetes is doing.
Okay. In Durham County, we think there's anywhere between 7 to 9% of our population impacted by diabetes, and probably another 2% that have diabetes and they've not been diagnosed. So we want to do screenings, we want to get people connected.
Durham is located in the middle of what's used to be known as the stroke belt. It's now known as the stroke and the diabetes belt, the southeastern United States. As we measure rates of obesity and diabetes and their consequences, cardiovascular disease in particular, the rates are very high in Durham County compared to other parts of the country.
We want to talk to people, we want families talking about it, because we don't talk about diabetes like we talk about not smoking.
So we have a lot of data to indicate that we have a problem. Now we need to do something about it.
Our effort is also to understand the community resources that are available. We really don't want to duplicate resources. We want to capitalize on the ones that exist. And if there are models that need to be replicated because they're best practice, we certainly want to do that.
If we develop information systems that enable us to make better decisions, both as a community and in medical care, to lower these rates of death and disability.
And then we want to understand where the gaps are in the services. So we want to build a continuum of services. Durham is rich in resources, but we want to connect those resources. We want our residents to understand where the resources are and how to access those resources.
The part that we really need to test in this project is linking the data systems and that will allow us to figure out how to target particular areas with what kinds of interventions linked to very specific interventions.
This is a condition or a diagnosis that you can live with successfully, and you can prevent yourselves from becoming a person with diabetes by making some lifestyle changes and understanding what your family predisposition is to it, and working with your medical provider. So there are lots of things that we want to do with this Diabetes Coalition.
Well, typically we like the blood pressure to be less than 150.
We expect to see a reduction in emergency department visits and the hospitalizations that can be avoided. And in one proposal, when we looked at it, we think maybe working with this project, we would be able to save $10 to $11 million over the lifetime of a project. And so that has enormous implications for our community and for the people who deal with diabetes.
And it's not just the health system or just the health department or just community groups, it's all of those different stakeholders coming together and saying we have to change things, and we're willing to put the effort in to make something really exciting happen. So 5 to 10 years from now, I truly believe that we will see better data, better statistics on the health of the people in our community, and Durham can serve as a model for communities across the country.
This is really big. If we're able to impact the health outcomes of the entire community, quality of life goes up for many people, longevity is there, and we have cost savings.
In the next few years, the Durham Diabetes Coalition will be doing a lot of work dealing with diabetes management. Even though diabetes is a condition that affects nearly 1 in 8 adults in our county, Healthy Living wants to change this. How? By providing you with resources and how to gain access to them. Like the public health director said, you can manage and live a healthy life with diabetes. Living and eating healthy doesn't have to be boring. Let's look at ways to get more flavor into your healthy diet. Here are a few tips for cooking tasty, healthy, and low-fat delicious meals.
Nearly 12% of Durham County adults have type 2 diabetes. Diabetes is a major risk factor for heart disease. Managing chronic diseases such as diabetes and heart disease doesn't mean that your meals have to be tasteless or boring. Today, we'll be cooking a meal that's full of flavor.
Using healthy oils and spices instead of salt is a great way to take care of your heart without having to sacrifice taste. Hi, my name is Kara Jenkins.
And I'm Christy O'Connor.
And we are dietitians with the Durham County Department of Public Health. I'll start by getting our veggies ready for roasting. Roasting is a great way to bring out the natural sweetness of vegetables. I'm using broccoli because it is a non-starchy vegetable and is also naturally fat-free and low in calories. I've preheated the oven to 450 degrees. It is important to use a high temperature when roasting vegetables. First, place 1 bag of frozen broccoli florets on a baking sheet or in a baking dish, sprayed with cooking spray. Next, sprinkle with 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Drizzle with 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil and mix to coat. I'm using olive oil because it is a heart-healthy fat. We'll bake this for 15 minutes and stir, and then bake for 15 minutes more or until the broccoli is tender and beginning to brown.
While the broccoli is roasting, I'll prepare baked southwestern tilapia. This recipe is great to use with roasted broccoli since they both bake at 450 degrees. Start with 4 tilapia fillets. You can use fresh or frozen fillets that have been thawed in the refrigerator. You could also use other types of white fish with this recipe. Seafood is a lean protein source that contains heart-healthy fats. So to keep your heart healthy, try to eat seafood twice a week. To season the tilapia with lots of flavors, we're using a mixture of spices. Using spices is a great way to flavor your food without using salt. In a small bowl, combine 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Stir to mix. Coat a baking sheet with nonstick cooking spray. Next, place the tilapia on the baking sheet and sprinkle evenly with half of the spices. Turn the fillets over and sprinkle the other side with the remaining spices. Then drizzle the tilapia with 1 tablespoon of olive oil and bake for 7 to 9 minutes until the fish is golden brown and flakes easily with a fork. Baking is a heart-healthy way to prepare fish and is a lower-fat alternative to frying.
Now we'll show you how to build a healthy plate using the foods we have prepared. A healthy plate looks like this. Half of the plate is filled with a non-starchy vegetable. Here, we're showing 1 cup of our roasted broccoli. A quarter of the plate is for our protein source, and that's where our baked southwestern tilapia goes. The other quarter of the plate is for our starch. Starchy foods like pasta, rice, or vegetables like potatoes or corn contain carbohydrates. Our goal is to include 3 servings of carbohydrate-containing foods in our meal. If you're living with diabetes, your goal may differ. We encourage you to talk to your doctor or dietitian about your specific goals. Here, 1 ear of corn counts as 2 servings of carbohydrate. We'll round out the meal by including a small fruit as our 3rd carbohydrate choice. Here we're having 17 small grapes. Finally, we chose water as our calorie-free, sugar-free beverage choice.
This meal is both heart-healthy and within the guidelines for those living with diabetes. As you can see, heart-healthy eating can be full of flavor. Using spices instead of salt, cooking with heart-healthy oils, and monitoring your carbohydrate intake are great ways to lower your risk of heart disease and manage your diabetes.
I love cooking with flavor. Leaving out salt is easy if you use lots of different spices. Experiment and find out what combinations you like best. Remember, your goal is to keep it low-fat and tasty to better manage and control your diabetes. Eating is just a small part of healthy living. Another key is regular physical activity. I have a few tips that you can do at home and some things that you can do at work. Let's take a short break to get moving. Let's get up off that couch.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Here we go. We're gonna make some juice.
It's gonna be good.
She's excited. A little bit of kale.
Please don't put this on line.
I'm putting it all over the line.
It's wet. It needs something. No, it'll go.
Don't break my juicer. Looks good.
You ready to try it?
Come on, baby.
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
It's okay.
Okay, all right.
They might surprise you.
She took another sip. You saw it?
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
Physical exercise is important for everyone's health and well-being, but it's especially important for people with diabetes. Regular exercise produces important benefits including cardiovascular fitness, improved muscle tone and strength, lower blood pressure, weight control, and it also helps to lower blood sugar levels. The physical activity recommendation is about 60 minutes most days of the week, and your own body is your own best tool. So find ways to move more in your day. You can park further away from your destination and take the stairs instead of the elevator. Try walking instead of driving through when you're going to the pharmacy, bank, or the dry cleaners. The easiest way to get moving is to start walking more everywhere, every day. But we don't want to forget about strengthening and stretching. Here are some great ways to get your toning in whether you're at home or at work. Try 3 sets of 15 for each of the following exercises. Stand up and sit down as a squat for stronger legs. For triceps dip, bend your elbows and lower down. Then push back up to strengthen your arms. If it's too hard to bend your elbows, you can hold your stance and you'll still be working your muscles. Core work can also be achieved while sitting. Pull your knees into your chest, engaging your abdominal muscles. You may also feel this in the front part of your legs. Make sure to start slow and always listen to your body. For a credible resource on how to be more physically active, please visit cdc.gov/physical activity. That physical activity break got me energized. To find out more on how to stay active in Durham, go to the City of Durham website and look for the Parks and Recreation's program calendar of events. Another way to stay well includes seeing your doctor regularly. When you have diabetes, it's important to have a healthcare team to keep all parts of you healthy. One person you need on your team is an eye doctor. Diabetes can cause eye damage. Dr. Bryant gives us the details on symptoms and complications that can be caused by diabetes.
Diabetes can harm many parts of your body, including your eyes. Damage may occur to the blood vessels in the back of the eye within the retina. These blood vessels leak blood and fluid that causes swelling of retinal tissue and may cause blurry vision. This is called diabetic retinopathy and is a leading cause of blindness in American adults. Anyone with diabetes is at risk for developing diabetic retinopathy. The longer one has been diabetic, the more likely they will be to develop any diabetic retinopathy. Everyone with diabetes needs to have a comprehensive dilated eye examination. Eye exams are important because the early stages of diabetic retinopathy often have no symptoms. However, some patients will complain of changes in their vision, such as difficulty seeing at night, seeing spots or floaters in their vision, or having a dark or empty spot in their central vision. You should not wait for symptoms to develop, but should see your eye doctor at least once per year. Early detection and timely treatment can prevent vision loss.
Tell me what kind of vision problems you've been experiencing.
Well, I've had difficulty reading small print.
It's very important to keep blood sugar levels as close to normal as possible. Better control of blood sugar levels may slow the onset and progression of diabetic retinopathy. Those who also have other medical conditions, such as high blood pressure and high cholesterol, are at greater risk of developing diabetic retinopathy. You should talk with your doctor about the best way to keep your blood pressure and cholesterol controlled. Pregnant women face a higher risk for developing diabetic retinopathy. Your eye doctor needs to know if you are pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant. If you are diabetic, it is very important that you see your eye doctor at least once a year for a dilated eye examination. Your eye doctor will also check for cataracts and glaucoma during your examination. Those with diabetes are also at greater risk of developing cataracts and glaucoma. If left untreated, these conditions can cause significant vision loss and even blindness. More advanced cases of diabetic retinopathy may require surgery. Please be sure to do your part in reducing the risk of diabetic retinopathy. This includes controlling blood sugar levels and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. It's important to sustain a proper diet and exercise regularly. It's also important to stop smoking. If you need support, Durham County Public Health offers Fresh Start classes to help break the tobacco habit. Please call 919-560-7765 for assistance. Because diabetic retinopathy can cause significant vision loss, it is critical to do your part to control the disease. Remember to see your eye doctor regularly and follow all steps to keep your diabetes controlled. This includes taking your prescribed medication, maintaining a healthy diet, exercising regularly, controlling blood pressure and cholesterol, and avoiding alcohol and smoking. Adherence to these steps will help you guard against the damaging effects of diabetic retinopathy.
Complications don't have to occur. Preventing problems before they happen is key. Yearly regular eye exams can help catch problems early. It may sound overwhelming to have a team of specialists to manage your diabetes, but it's doable. We want to introduce you to some people living with diabetes. Here's someone who has made giant steps to improve and manage her disease.
I would say that, for the first period of time, and I do mean for a long period of time, I think I was in denial. I don't think that I checked my sugar as often because it was a while before I had a glucometer. And it certainly was a long time before I went to a nutritionist and understood, the severity of what I was going through. I don't even remember, if I tell you the truth, how long after my diagnosis was before I ever had an A1C check. Because once I started to understand what an A1C indicated, that gave me a sense of direction. There's this denial, I think, that people go into as it relates to being a diabetic. And so there's a way that I think that you understand intellectually that you are supposed to eat a certain way. Over time, you begin to understand that you don't have to deprive yourself. It's a matter of being aware of the carbs and the sugars and balancing, what you eat. But when you first start, before you've talked to a nutritionist, before you understand the issues, you're in denial and you just figure, if I don't eat a lot of something, but I can still have anything I want. And I think that there is a certain level of truth to it, but you don't have the skill and the knowledge base to evaluate what it is that you're eating. What's interesting to me is that I now feel like somewhat of an expert on diabetes, so I spend a lot of time talking to family members as well as friends about some of the issues that I better understand about diabetes. Let me say before I mention my success that this is an ongoing battle for me. But I would say that the biggest success is going from having an A1C of 10.7 to what is now 7.2 and has been as low as 6.1. I would also say that making different choices, consciously making different choices. I don't have a lot of self-control, and so as a result, I don't bring a lot of things into my house that I know I shouldn't have. It's a day-to-day struggle, but on those days where I really am consciously making choices, reading food labels is a big deal to me. Actually making a choice not to purchase something because I know that it has more carbs and more sugar than I know it needs to have. Those are things that I feel really good about, even as I know that I struggle from day to day when I'm adhering more than other times.
Ms. Brown had a lot of great information to share about how she lives with diabetes on a daily basis. Making better choices is big. You can't make a good choice if you don't have the facts. There is a lot of misinformation out there about diabetes. Let's learn about some myths and what is really fact about the disease.
Diabetes is not that serious.
You get diabetes from eating too much sugar, too much soda, too much cookies.
And they say if you get sugar and you don't take care of yourself, you could lose a limb.
Information about diabetes is everywhere, on the internet, TV, and even from well-meaning friends. It can be hard to know what is true about diabetes and what's not. We'll go over common myths about type 2 diabetes, and then we'll talk about the facts. The first myth we'll talk about is that you can get diabetes by eating too much sugar or sweets. This is not necessarily true. Normally, when a person eats, the body changes food into a kind of sugar called glucose. A hormone called insulin helps glucose move from the blood into cells, so the body can use glucose for energy. Insulin is like a key that opens the door of the cells for glucose to enter. When a person has type 2 diabetes, the body doesn't make enough insulin. There's not enough insulin to open those doors, and glucose can't get into the cells. This makes the sugar in the blood high. You can't get diabetes just by eating too much sugar or sweets. The reasons people get type 2 diabetes are because of inherited and lifestyle factors that may include poor food choices, overeating, and lack of physical activity. Eating a diet high in calories, whether it's from sugar or fat, can cause you to gain weight. And being overweight increases your risk for getting type 2 diabetes. Weight gain causes something called insulin resistance. This means the cells don't recognize insulin until levels are higher than normal, making it harder for glucose to get into the cells. In addition, if you have diabetes, eating high sugar foods can make your blood glucose go even higher. Another myth is that people with diabetes need to eat special diabetic foods, and that cookies or crackers labeled for people with diabetes are healthy. The truth is that a healthy diet is good for everyone, not just people with diabetes. A healthy diet includes lots of green vegetables and a moderate amount of lean protein like fish and chicken, and high fiber or whole grain carbohydrates and fruit. Foods that have a lot of animal fat, salt, or sugar should be limited. Diabetic foods don't usually offer any special benefit. Most of these foods still raise blood sugar levels. They also often cost more and can upset your stomach if the foods contain a sugar alcohol. It can be hard to make sense out of all the diabetes information that you come across. To learn more about diabetes, visit the Durham Diabetes Coalition's website at www.durhamdiabetescoalition.org.
Eating too many sweets gives you diabetes is a myth, and diabetic labeled foods are healthier for you is also a myth. Reading food labels and following your dietitian's advice will help you to develop better eating habits. Get to know what is myth about diabetes so that you can make better decisions about living healthy. I hope you've learned some new information and picked up some good tips this half hour. It's our goal to get Durham's Healthy Living Index up and the diabetes numbers down. I'll be back soon with another 30 minutes of living healthy, Durham County. In the meantime, if you want more information about cooking healthy, physical activity, eye care, diabetes myths, or anything else in today's show, visit our website at durhamdiabetescoalition.org or call us to find out more about living with diabetes at 919-560-7600. We'll see you next time. I'm Jana, and this is Living Healthy, Durham County.
The more you know, the better you'll do. Hi, I'm E.K. Ray, author and type 2 diabetic. Much of type 2 diabetes is preventable through diet and lifestyle. But if you do have diabetes, know that it contributes to many serious health risks. But there are ways to reduce the risk of diabetes complications. Start by monitoring your blood sugar at home. The traditional methods of testing your blood sugar levels involves pricking your finger with a small, sharp needle, putting a drop of blood on a test strip, and then placing the strip into a meter that displays your blood sugar level. Many meters come in various sizes, speeds, costs, portability, and readability. So when it comes to diabetes, know your ABCs. A is for A1C testing that shows your blood sugar glucose level, B is for blood pressure, and C is for cholesterol. To help prevent diabetes and control your diabetes, be consistent, eat a healthy diet, take your medicine, get checked. The more you know, the better you'll do. I'm E.K. Ray, author and type 2 diabetic.
Some risks are obviously not worth taking. Some aren't as obvious, but could be just as deadly, like the risk for type 2 diabetes. Take the diabetes risk test and stop diabetes before it stops you.